Thank you so very much for your time. And if you just joined us, Enterprise Morning it is, reaching you from Enterprise Television from our corporate headquarters in Lagos State, Nigeria. Let's get talking on some of the things that we have today, especially as regards the e-transmission that we hope that the federal government would, in tandem with the National Assembly, work at and ensure that it comes to fruition. So while we debate on that, really, and equally get to talk some more, Emeka Madunago is here with us to do justice to that and more. But just before we get to that, yes, okay, so we have it here that the Senate ascended into chaos as lawmakers revisited and amended the Electoral Act Amendment Bill 2026 to allow electronic transmission of election results, but stopped short of making real-time uploads compulsory. The controversy centered on Clause 63, which had earlier been rejected when a proposal sought to mandate real-time transmission of results from polling units to INEC's result viewing portal IReV.
Very true. Following hours of heated debates, the Senate adopted a revised version of the clause. The new provision mandates that results be transmitted electronically from each polling unit to IReV only after Form EC8A has been signed and stamped by the presiding officer and available party agents. However, it clearly states that if electronic transmission fails due to network issues, the manually signed EC8A will serve as the primary basis for coalition and declaration of results.
All right, let's get talking. Emeka Madunago is here with us, and let's have his say. Emeka, can we all now go home, especially for those who are protesting in the National Assembly? Is it okay for them to go home knowing that at the very end, their desires and the needs of Nigerians have been answered by the 10th National Assembly under Senate President Godswill Akpabio?
Hello.
Yes, can you hear me?
Hello.
Yes, Emeka, can you hear me?
Yes, kudos. Yes, it's kudos to them. It's kudos to them. They did well. Kudos to other Nigerians who were not at the matches, but at least they express their views one way or the other through different means. It's kudos to all of them. Although it's not yet Uhuru, because there are still issues, that are yet to be ironed out.
What issues exactly? What issues, Emeka?
Like ballot snatching, rigging, violence, even the role of the judiciary, the role of the security agencies. We need to iron out those things. They are very, very important. We need to iron them out. We need to know, what the role of the society should be in preventing all those things. Because you saw how people came out and were lying blatantly that there was no network in their hometowns. We tell you that we still have people who place personal interest over and above national interest. And such people, as long as they are in positions, of influence or authority, they will not want the nation to progress. So, and the issue about that if electronic transmission fails, that we should use manual should not be. See, Nigeria today, if you make a transfer, especially through a fintech, through any of the fintechs, you will get instant service within, in fact, microseconds. But you know what? In some parts of the world, it can take up to 3 days for some transfers to be reflected. So if we have achieved that in the banking sector, how come some people are still telling us that there are some areas, some states are not covered? When we have POS machines all over the country that are operating, bandits operate from forests and they send real-time videos. So where are all these? So why are people now making it look like Nigeria is a jungle or something. You know, so we still have obstacles on the way because politicians can actually instigate violence in areas where they feel that, you know, they might be losing. So, okay, fine. Electronic transition, no way. Manual, no way. But what we need is a virile political culture. We need matured brains as politicians, not people whose minds are looting the treasury. That's what we have now, treasury looters, not patriotic individuals in government. Thank you.
Very well said. Okay, so what does the rowdy Senate session reveal about political tension over election transparency? Did you get that, sir?
I got you. Let me tell you something. Look,
all right,
when you saw that rowdy session,
yeah,
it was because some people know, some tenders knew they had not performed well in their constituencies. So they are afraid that they won't get re-elected. They know themselves. They are afraid. Some cannot even go to their constituencies because they'll be beaten or they can be killed. So, you know, what they hope for, which they have used over the years, is manipulation. You know, even the PVC, if I tell you that the coming of the PVC actually spoiled the plans of many politicians. Because previously, it was just manual. You check here, manual register and all that. Well, the PVC with the beavers, you first get accredited, you know. So that reduced the incidence of overvoting. That reduced the incidence of, you know, stuffing of ballot boxes and all of that. You know, so we need to continue upgrading our electoral system. It is very important. Thank you.
Yes, very so important that we do that. But be that as it may, do you still see Nigerians coming up with necessary but at the same time over bloated requests from the National Assembly and the INEC, knowing that they've been able to put together the best they can do for now?
Are you there?
Emeka, did you get me? Emeka, are you there? All right, I think we lost Emeka. And on that,
Hello.
yes,
Okay.
can you hear me, Emeka?
Can you hear me? Yes.
Well. So did you get the
Can you hear
question?
me?
Yes,
We can hear you very
I
well.
got the question.
Yes.
I said they are our representatives, and it's their duty to attend to our requests. It is our duty to bombard them with requests, and it's their duty to, you know, listen to us, to listen to our requests, because you see, this is a democracy. This is not a monarchy. Even in a monarchy, a king, people bring requests to a king. But this is a representative democracy. And therefore, we cannot pretend that, you know, the National Assembly, we are sending too many requests. No, that is why they are there. That's why they were elected. And that is why they must be true representatives of the people. Thank you.
Very true. Does this partial electronic transmission compromise public trust in the 2027 elections?
No, it has increased public trust now. Even though
Okay.
the idea that where electronic transmission fails, we can replace it with manual transmission. That is still a knotty issue, which I hope will be corrected in due course. Because where, you know, we should have a foolproof electronic transmission system.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, and then you see, we should also be vigilant as citizens to know the kind of people we're electing to the National Assembly. Because we concentrate too much on the presidency. You know, we forget, you know, that we elect some people who are not fit to be in the National Assembly. So we must be vigilant. We must look at the credentials of such people. For instance, those who you know oppose this electoral transition should not be elected to the National Assembly. They should not. They should not at all. They should not. And they know themselves. We know them. They should not be elected. Thank you.
They should not be arrested. Well, let's just hope that works, because it's just like Senate President Godswill Akpabio, who didn't run for the election, but today he is representing his constituency, and not just his constituency, but Nigeria, as the Senate President of the 10th Assembly. So we just hope that the e-transmission would help to solve some of the problems. But let's take a look at other low-hanging fruits, like disenfranchisement that we have seen, especially with Lagos State, Nigeria. The last elections, especially the gubernatorial elections, where we have situations where people were asked to go home because they weren't from the state or from the region. Do you think the electronic transmission will solve that problem? If not, what else do you think can solve issues like that?
You see, it is because the security agencies in those areas are irresponsible. They allow themselves to be manipulated. And it says a lot about some of the characters in the security agencies. Even when matters are taken to tribunal, of course, there have been allegations that the judiciary in Nigeria is heavily compromised, that judges, take bribes. So to compromise justice, the security agencies are heavily compromised. But we hope that we'll get to the point whereby, we'll have credible, free and fair elections. We are hoping that we'll get to that point. We are hoping sometime in the nearest future that we'll get to that point. Thank you.
What about if the nearest future is next year?
Nearest future can be any day.
Yeah.
No, I'm not God. But let me tell you something. You see, we never knew that there will be a time in Nigeria where we'll be using PVCs for election. We never knew there will be a time when we'll have beavers, when we'll have IReV. But today we have them. So what we are hoping is that the electoral system will get better. That the electoral system will get better. That politicians will be more responsible and more responsive. Yes, Henry talked about Akpabio coming to look at the process that brought him in.
Yeah.
It was flawed. And that's one of the areas people have talked about, in terms of double nomination. Is there in the Electoral Act? But what did the former INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu, what did he do? That's part of the problem. What did he do about it? When the issue came up concerning Godswill Akpabio and Ahmad Lawan, the former Senate President, what did the courts do? The Supreme Court, what did they do? So when you have people who can compromise, who can readily compromise the electoral system, that's part of the thing. Laws are made for men. If men are responsible enough to implement laws, we will at least have fewer problems. That is part of it.
Well, I just hope lots of leaders would get to hear this and respond to that in their character and their actions. Because when we talked about during our newspaper review session that Nigeria dropped second place in the corruption index around the world, it's part of it. Electoral corruption is part of those. I just hope that 2027 will not help us to become bigger or to grow in the list of the most corrupt nations in the world, because these are some of the things that we hope to not to see in Nigeria. Thank you so very much, Emeka. We truly do appreciate your time, despite the very short notice.
Thank you very much.
All right. That's our time for today, people. I'd love to say thank you. Please do well to follow us. You can find us at enterprisetvnews.com. Equally, you might rewatch when you may. That is when you visit us at Enterprise TV7. I am Henry Igwebike.
And I'm Kehinde Bodun.
Have yourself a splendid day.
God bless Nigeria. God bless you. Bye.
Bye.